Hello, my name is Nima, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change one of the fans on an Asus Rog Strix GeForce GTX 1080 Advanced Edition. The one we're going to be doing today is fan C, so if you have any questions regarding fan B or fan A, you might want to, look for another video, but they're basically all the same, so it's a very simple and very easy process. The other fans are going to be virtually the same as this one. So if you do have fan B or fan A, you can follow the same steps, just in different placement on your graphics card. So let's get to it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll be able to teach you guys a thing or two based on my experience. Alright everybody, so we have our graphics card laid out in front of us, and the first thing you're going to want to do is remove this top plate. This is what's going to let you remove the fan, access, where it's plugged into and everything, pull it out, whatever. So first, let me point out what screws you have to take out. There's one here, here, and here, and on the other side there's none. So those are the only ones on the outside. But if you'll notice, there's one right in here, right in there, and also one right in here. If I can hold this fan in place, one right there as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 need to be taken off first before we can do the next step. So let's get to it. I also want to point out these are all the same screws, so you don't need to know the placement or anything for them because they're all the same. You can put them all back in different orders if you want. It doesn't really matter. Just as long as they get put back and hold your graphics card in place, you'll be okay. So there's the first three. And sometimes you might have to hold these fans in place to be able to reach these ones on the inside. It's not too much of a hassle. If you don't have a screwdriver that has a magnetized tip or anything, I would also keep a pair of tweezers handy. That way you can pull them right out as you unscrew them so that they don't slip and fall into your graphics card and create an unnecessary hassle. Now, I know that you're not supposed to have anything magnetized against, computer components, electronics, but I have one of these demagnetizing wristbands connected to the metal of my table. So I don't have to, touch my foot to the base of my chair or, hold my arm up to a piece of metal. These things come in handy in any computer component situation. Whether you're putting a computer together or even just, sticking your hand in there when it's off to do some maintenance, dusting or plugging up wires and stuff like that. So, now that we have the 6 screws off the faceplate, we can carefully lift this up, paying close attention to the blades because there's the little nubs that hold the screws in place can get attached to them. So be very mindful of that so you don't break your fan in the process. Lift and place. It's that easy. Now, this is the inside of your graphics card. So we have fan A, B, and C here. We're doing fan C, so we're not going to really pay attention to these, but I do have to say all of these are connected with one wire. They do have little placements where, they all plug into, but they're all a part of one chain. So if you want to change A, you have to unplug it from here at the base and pull this part out from here, and you can change that. For fan B, you're going to want this little middle piece right here, which links up fan A and C together in this chain. So fan C is the easiest one in the trio to change. Now, this also has some screws holding it in place. There's one right here, one right here, one right here, here, and also here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all the same screws as the ones that we pulled out earlier as well. So, well, actually, they might not be. But it's a good idea to keep these screws separate from the ones that hold the faceplate on. So, let's get started on this one. Yeah, these are definitely not the same. If you notice, these are the ones holding... Oopsies. If you notice, these ones are the ones holding the faceplate on, and these are the ones holding the fan on. They're much shorter, the ones that hold the fans onto the heatsink. So definitely make sure to keep them separate. We're going to put these over here on the left side, away from the other ones. Here we go. There's one more. The order in which you take these screws out doesn't really matter. So we're just going to go in a counterclockwise direction. And here we go. Here's the last one. And boom. Now we can take the fan off. So the only other thing that you need to keep in mind is these things, never pull these things out by the wires. You're going to mess it up real bad, you never know. So slowly just wiggle these off. If you got some nails or something, pry at it a little bit. They got these little nubs so that you can hold on to. But here we go. Be very mindful of the fan as well. There we go. It's a simple 4-pin fan. This is the new one which I replaced with. Here's the original. So this is what it would have looked like before. So now let's put it back together. Same way you took it apart. Plug the new fan in which case we've already done. Make sure it's placed inside of this little nubby holder placement thing. That way you can put it exactly where it needs to go. And it'll stay exactly the way it should. Now, I would start out by putting this screw in first, just to hold it in place. That way when you put the other 4 in, not too tight either, just, a little bit loose so that if there's need for some wiggle room, you got it. That way we can start putting our little screws back in, one at a time. There's one. 2, 3, 4. Now, make sure that they're tight enough, but not too tight. These things are very sensitive. You don't want to damage any components on these things, especially, you know, the heatsink fins. That's why these are shorter than the other ones. You don't want to damage those fins by putting these things way too down, way too far in. So now that we got everything in place, we can put the faceplate back on and get back to gaming. So you're going to want to do this very carefully again. You don't want to damage any of your fans putting this back in, especially if you just bought a new fan or all fans. So here we go. We got everything in place. Make sure that the wires that are holding your fans on are not pushing too much against these heatsink fins. Otherwise you're going to have problems later. You never know if it might cut into the wires of the fan. So first thing we're going to do is start putting these 3 screws back on, and then we're going to come back to these. So I made a little mistake. Maybe in that last one it worked well, but this one I don't know why it's giving me trouble. So I put the screws in on the side a little bit differently. I put this one on first, and now I'm putting this one on to hold them in place, and then I'll do the center one afterwards since it's giving me trouble. There we go. Now the center one will work perfectly. There we go. Now that you got those 3 screws back on, you can work on these. Make sure you're very careful around your fans. There we go. Alright, so now that we're finished, you can put your graphics card back in and start playing those games. This was my first video. I don't have a professional camera or anything, so sorry about the volume. It's Activion CX, little off-brand GoPro. So that's all I'm really working with right now. But you know, I just wanted to document my experience changing my fan, showing you guys the basics on how to open it up and replace everything, hopefully service other parts if you need to. I will be making a video in the future about liquid cooling my graphics cards, so hopefully that will be coming in the next couple weeks. We'll see. But if you like this video, if you learned a thing or two, you know what to do. If you subscribe, I would really appreciate it, because I'm just now starting these little reviews and things. So let me know what you thought about it. Give me some feedback. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.